Hey everybody, this is my 40-gallon Purple Spotted Gudgeon Tank, and right now if you can see the gudgeon, he's down there in the bottom left hand corner. Generally doesn't do a whole lot, just kind of sits there doing his thing. I recently got in this tank and cleaned out a bunch of the plants. I did a big water change and just got the tank looking a little bit nicer and more presentable overall. So today, it's a windy day, it's a little chilly, probably not going to be able to get any work done. I'm bored, and I got a bee in my bonnet about something I want to try on this tank. We're going to mix it up a little bit and do something a little bit different. So I just ran over to the Home Depot. I got what I needed to make what changes I'm going to make on this. So sit tight, give me a few minutes, have a look at your before, and there's your after. So we've actually got a little more to talk about than I thought we were going to. I thought I was simply going to pull the top off and we were going to hang a light over top of it, and that was going to be the end of the video. But when I got in there and started doing some stuff, I found out that the filter that was on the back was not working properly. The impeller had seized up. It was one of the Tetra Whisper 60s. And it wasn't working. It was bone dry. The impeller was not working, but the motor in the back, the little impeller drive, was really hot. So I don't know how long it had been sitting, but I sniffed it. It didn't smell bad. I did start it back up and got it running again. And when the water flowed into the aquarium, I just went ahead and started doing a water change just to be on the safe side. I did give it a few minutes, and then I took an ammonia test, and I got no discernible ammonia in the tank at all. So I don't know how long the filter had been shut down, but it had definitely been shut down for a considerable amount of time. Like I say, the water sluice in the front where the water runs down and into the tank was bone dry. The top of the sponge filter was bone dry, and the aquarium box only had about half the amount of water it normally should have. So that hot motor in there was definitely evaporating the water out of that. It was about half gone. So it had been a while. And I decided that since I could not get it running again in a way that was satisfactory to me, we were just going to go ahead and take it off of there for now. Every time I got it working again, and I took it apart and cleaned it and did all that kind of stuff to it, and every time it got working again, it was real rattly and noisy and wound up shutting down and stopping and starting again and just having a lot of problems with it. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and do without it. As I said, we were doing without it before and I didn't even know it. So the tank is quite capable of sustaining itself as is. The only reason I really want to have a filter on this tank is because I've got a sand substrate. And as such, all of the uneaten fish food, mulm, fish poop, all that stuff, as it breaks down, it's got nowhere to go. In a gravel tank, that will actually sort of break down and work its way down into the gravel and just sort of ultimately becomes dirt, if you will, over time. That doesn't happen in a tank that's got a bottom that's made out of sand like this. It has nowhere to go, and it just swirls around the tank, and it just starts looking ugly. So by having a filter on the back, it'll pick some of that up out of the water column as it swirls around. It'll catch it in the filter material, and while, as I've said recently, it will still be within the tank system itself, it won't be in our eyeballs. We won't be able to see it, and it won't look so ugly, and therefore putting a filter on this tank is not a bad idea. As far as needing a filter on this tank, as I just explained, we obviously don't because it already didn't, and it was operating just fine. So instead of getting the big 60 that was already on there, I don't need a lot of circulation in this tank. None of the fish that live in here really like a lot of circulation anyway. And so I ordered a Whisper 40, which is the same size as the one I just got for my waterfall tank. It's sort of a supplementary filter on my waterfall tank. So I will be putting another filter back on this tank in a couple of days when it arrives in the mail, but that's just for cleanliness sake. It's not necessarily for biological sake. Biologically, the tank is just sound as a pound. We got nothing to worry about. And if you'll notice, I moved my air stone, which was more or less centered in the tank over here. I moved it over into this corner near where the power head is. So between the power head giving me water circulation, so much glare on this tank, it's hard to even see. But trust me, there is a power head down there, and I think it's around a 400 gallon, maybe 380 gallon per hour power head. But it's so old and it's got so much growth and everything on it, it's probably nowhere close to that. But between the power head and the air stone, you can see there's plenty of circulation going on in this tank, and that's all you really need is circulation, aeration, gas exchange, and surface area for your biological colonies to live. And you've got a fish tank. So we should be good to go at least for the next couple of days without the traditional hang on the back filter on the back. And I like it without. I think it looks good without it. So maybe if we don't wind up getting a lot of mulm building up and stuff like that, we may not even put a filter on this tank. Again, I think it looks pretty just like that. So what we did with my light is what I've done with so many of my tanks, because I do loves me an open top tank. I really do. I'm really hoping that this temple plant in here starts growing up and out of this tank too, like it does up in my office tank. But this is just another Cree LED floodlight that I got at Home Depot for $10 and some change. It is a 150 watt equivalent, meaning it's roughly as bright as a traditional standard old incandescent 150 watt floodlight that you'd put on your garage or whatever. So it's roughly as bright as that, and you can see how bright it appears. The real beauty to these lights is right there where it says 90 plus CRI. If you don't know what that means, CRI is the color rendering index, and that is just a reference to how close to natural sunlight this looks. And so with the 90 plus there, that means this is more than 90% accurate to full spectrum natural sunlight. So I know for $10 for one single floodlight, that might seem kind of expensive, but when you think about it in terms of aquarium lighting, to have a tank lit like that with, again, as close as you're going to be able to get to natural sunlight out of any kind of LED or artificial light source like that, for $10, that's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned for aquarium lighting. And it's the same, you know, we've got 6 of them hanging over this tank. I've got one hanging over my office tank upstairs. I've got one hanging over the tank on the end of the room right there, you can see. And I'm seriously considering doing it to this tank. My other 40 breeder, I would love to have this tank opened up and just have an open top with light shining down, and I think it would look fantastic. What I had planned on doing with the tank we were just looking at, my gudgeon tank, was having 2 lights, one on either side, you know, similar to this, spacing them out. You know, we got 2 for each section, and it gives that nice evenly spaced lighting all the way across the whole tank. But in this particular tank, my gudgeon is not a fish that likes really bright light, and then the other fish that's in this tank is actually, you can kind of see his nose sticking out down there. That is a South American bumblebee catfish, and it basically lives in a dark cave all the time and comes out at night. So it too is not a big fan of bright lights, and I thought having 2 lights, you know, one here and one here, was a bit overkill and unnecessary on this tank, and so we went with just the one in the center. And I like it. I think it actually looks pretty good. It gives a little bit of character to the tank. You got some texture, a little darkness on the edges, a little brightness in the middle, and it gives the fish an opportunity to go into whatever environment he wants. And it should make feeding time a little more interesting. My only concern is in my other tank we were just looking at, the other 40 breeders, I've got rainbow fish in there, and excuse me, sure, a little bit went down the wrong pipe there. I got rainbow fish in that tank, and rainbow fish are jumpers, and I've actually lost rainbow fish from having them jump into the hood of the aquarium so hard they've killed themselves. So I can only imagine keeping rainbow fish in an open top tank. You know, I wonder how long I'd actually have rainbow fish in my open top tank. So that's the thing that's keeping me from opening up that other one. But I thought about it today, and I decided nothing's stopping me from opening up this one, because I don't really see that gudgeon there being much of a jumper. So there you go. That's my new look on my gudgeon tank. The filter is on the way in the mail, but I don't know whether it's actually ever going to make it onto the tank because I kind of like the way it looks without it on there. We don't need all that extra water swirling around for no reason. So make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss that or anything else I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. So thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you real soon in the next one.